What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
That's like it starts recording.
Better to do it now than was in the middle.
Do that
recording.
all the time. All the time.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to episode number 78. Yes? 78. Against that. So good. I'm getting better at this. It only took 78 episodes, but I'm getting better at it. Welcome to episode 78 of the F1 Underground podcast. As always, my name is Owen. That is my sister, Casey. We are obviously sibling duo. We meet weekly to talk about all things F1. We love the sport. We love everything about it. We cannot get enough of it, and we're psychos for it. So yeah, that's pretty much the podcast.
So just like the mom yells at me every time I wake up at 5:30 to watch FP3 on a Saturday.
I'm amazed that I woke up on Sunday for Singapore. I didn't have an alarm.
I'm amazed.
I thought that I was gonna miss it. And I woke up 7:30 and I was like, you know what? I might as well just get up, pound some coffee. That's no different than any other day though. And watch some F1. So really enjoyed it. I personally really enjoyed the race. But before we get into this episode, or what we got planned for this episode, we will start off with our normal meme of the weeks. And then we will jump into some F1 news, which we have just one piece of information from the F1 world. Kind of broke earlier today.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
We had nothing at first.
We had nothing. We had news, but it wasn't F1 related. It was IndyCar related. So F1's giving us some stuff. So we have one F1 story. There's the IndyCar announcement, which we'll talk about a little bit, but we'll also get into that with Fred's mailbag. And then we have personal news, podcast news, which if you can't tell, and if you're not
watching us,
yes, if you're not watching us, if you're a visual or an audio listener, and you don't follow us on Threads, you'll learn about that, which is great. Hopefully it brings more people into the show too. And then we'll do Pints and Pit Stops. I will be quizzing Casey this time. And then we'll do our Singapore recap, wrap it up with some F1 Threads mailbag following that.
I honestly have no faith in my how I'm going to do in Pints and Pit Stops today.
The questions aren't bad. I don't know. I would try to give you some idea of how you do, but there are times where I think that you're gonna do there's questions that you would nail, and there's questions that you just miss the mark completely on it. But
yeah, or if I'm a number off last week, what I know I won't do is say Joel Embiid. I mean, say Ben Simmons and
listen. I got my Philly card back when I went to Philly's clinching the division last night. You know, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, the best, I forget who it was, responded when I posted the clip with the gif of Barkley missing the catch from the Eagles game the night before that day.
Oh, yeah.
It was such a good response. Yes, we will get into our meme of the week. So, I'm going to go first. So, obviously, we were just in Singapore. The hot and humid race. It's actually not Qatar. Qatar, I feel like, might be worse, but it's also the land of the giant lizards, and we had one on track. We had one.
This isn't the first time.
No, this is not the first time, because the famous one is that radio message from Max saying that I just saw Godzilla's brother or something. Yeah. So this one was on the track, and it was a red flag because they had to chase it off the track, which is even funnier because watching them try to run after it was hilarious. So there was this video today of a fan literally at that exact section when they finally got it out. You see them pull, if you're watching this, you'll see the video. You see the marshal on the other side of on the track looks like it pushes it through this like weird little hole in the barrier, and then next thing you know, the lizard comes through and just cuts through the crowd. If I was in that crowd of fans, I would have screamed. Like, the video has music over it, so you can't hear it like anyone, but I'm sure people screamed if they were right there.
You can see, like, all right, you can see my mouse, like, right up here in the top left corner, you can see the crowd split and, like, let the lizard through. So he cut through everybody, but yeah, I'm amazed that it wasn't released in, like, a safer way. Like, it wasn't, like, get him in a cage or something, and then...
Same. Like, you would think, because, like, it's not, like, it's a known thing in Singapore, so you would think they would know how to, like, remove it safer, like, to get it... Yeah, but there wasn't, so... It was just let out into the crowd of people. And I'm sure that crowd of people was like 12 people deep, like right in that section. So
he definitely ran through a couple different people.
Yeah. The best was and then later the next day during the race, when they were doing the driver's parade, you saw like the shot of the truck with the drivers driving away, and then the marshals that like are on the track waving to the drivers and stuff. The one started running like the lizard. Those things are scary. There was one picture I was like, where is the lizard's head? I was like, how many legs does it have? Because it was the most like, it was messing with my mind so much, the picture, because I could not tell which was which. But gotta love lizards in Singapore.
Yes. Classic.
Now Owens.
Is that 3 years in a row though that we've had a lizard?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think there's at least one each time. It's not as many groundhogs as they are when they're in Canada, but
all right, so mine is obviously back in Singapore. We got blessed with the appearance of Kevin Magnussen again, free from his penalty points of the previous races. So I found this meme the other day on Threads. Actually, this does not come from Formula Dank. This is from Threads. Shout out to F1 Threads for making this. But it says, they call me 007. 0 penalty points, 0 fucks given. 7 races left. I found this admittedly before Singapore, and I thought it was hilarious because we were making the joke of that Kevin Magnussen was going to come in and just tear shit up because he has no penalty points anymore. But he actually had a pretty tame race.
He did. It was kind of boring.
Yeah.
Because of him. I was expecting a lot more from K-Mag.
So I thought it was funny. But yeah, shout out to F1 Threads for this one.
F1 Threads is pretty good.
It's the best place.
Best place on earth.
Best place.
Now, weekly news. Weekly news. Before we get into weekly news, don't cut me off.
Sorry.
You were like ready to keep going. Before we get into our weekly news, code is at the bottom of the screen the entire episode. Please use code underground10. Only Val is the leading you at ipf1store.com for 10% off your purchase over there for any amazing cool pieces of art. Like we say every week, there's everything. You can get the piece of art on a travel coffee mug, a regular coffee mug. There's now hats, there's t-shirts, the pieces of art you can hang up on your desk. Everything you need.
Stuff.
Yeah, and like we teased a little bit last week, I'll continue to tease it. We have something fun coming in store with them over at IPF1 Store. So please use the code underground10 to get 10% off your full purchase. Now moving on to the real piece of breaking news, which is breaking news. I have to say, it's breaking news.
It is news that is breaking.
That is breaking, and it is pretty big because someone else is leaving Red Bull.
Yep.
To join McLaren.
It's so good.
It's so good. Not until 2026, though, probably. Unless they can buy him out of his contract.
That's fine. Yeah. But yes. Red Bull strategy chief. Oh, why? Will, sorry, blanked on his name. Will, I'm going to butcher this part too. Courtenay? I'm going to say.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
It's either Courtenay or just Courtenay. He's leaving the team. He's the chief strategy officer at Red Bull. He's leaving Red Bull and he will be joining McLaren. I love it. It's a move for McLaren that is great. And yeah, I mean, it really it's another name to the list. It's really just this like Adrian Newey was this small domino that not even small. Adrian Newey was the big domino that just started pushing other pieces out. So it's yeah, I mean, obviously we can't talk about much with it. It's like you said, it might not happen until 2026. If they can somehow buy out the rest of his contract, get around Gardening League, stuff like that, or have him a little bit earlier. But I like it.
Well, and he's also been with Red Bull for a very long time. He's been with that team for 14 years. The article from the BBC says, where did it just go? Well, this was the comment, or a source close to the team said, after a long and successful service, being with the team since the Jaguar days, we were sad to see Will go, but we wish him all the best in this step up. I mean, that's huge. He's been there for so long.
Yeah, that's a very long time.
Yeah, I did like the quote from Andrea Stella. He said, "We are now entering a key phase in our journey as a team, and we are confident that he will be a great addition to our strong leadership team as we strive to continue challenging for wins and championships." It's really, honestly, they just keep adding good people to their roster of leadership and team personnel there. But yeah, so that was the one piece of news today. Like we said, it's not going to be until 2026. But yeah, I mean, McLaren's going to be a force for a long time, as they have been, and they're going to continue to be. It's
so funny because now that obviously they're in the lead in the constructors, like I would sit here and say, like, yeah, this is the push for, making 2026 a championship year and everything for McLaren, and it's this year is a championship year right now for McLaren. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, I think it's a good move. It's another domino in that Red Bull kind of collapse that's going right now, and it's a chip added to McLaren. So I like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I posted, you have obviously Adrian Newey is leaving Red Bull or left Red Bull, Jonathan Wheatley leaving Red Bull, and now Courtney is leaving Red Bull. So there continues to be more and more people that are on their way out of there. And obviously, yes, this happens when any team that with people when they're at the top or at the best of the league, happens in every single sport. We see it in football, we see it in soccer. Like it's a thing, people. We get it, we understand. But this is just Red Bull has had someone literally every single month. I feel like announcing that they're leaving.
I would say ever since Adrian Newey announced his departure, it's been every month they've had some figure in the team be leaving. But interesting. Jumping over, we'll cover this very quickly, just because it is big news. But like I said, we'll cover it in F1 Threads mailbag a little bit more,
and maybe more next week as well.
Maybe more next week. It definitely deserves a deeper dive into it. But
yeah, because I need to understand it a little bit better.
I did a quick read up. But IndyCar officially is introducing a charter system. This was decided upon today, I believe. I can't remember if it was today or yesterday. Yesterday. Okay. Yeah. So yesterday it was announced. That's September 23rd. So it shakes up how things are done in IndyCar. Like I said, we'll cover it a little bit more, and we'll do a deeper dive on it next week or in 2 weeks. But breaking news: they're introducing an IndyCar charter system. Essentially, it's the team's right to compete is what they can sell off, stuff like that. So we'll get more into it. But jumping over to
personal
exciting news. Personal exciting news.
Which way do I have to go? This way.
It's always so hard to figure out which way to point. So if you, for some reason, do not know, and like you said, if you're not watching on video and you're not following us on Threads, yesterday we officially crossed 10,000 followers on Threads, which is
wild.
We were sitting here before we started recording, and I said, on our notes, we have an old blurb of just go follow us on social media and everything. And the last number that we updated for Threads was when we had 6,800 followers, which is still a gross number to say. I'm sure when we were in that moment, we were like, this is so weird. We have 6,800 people following us on a social media platform. But the fact that we have crossed 10,000 is absolutely absurd. I genuinely don't know how to like say thank you other than just saying thank you, to the people who listen and everything, and the F1 Threads community. I mean, like, it genuinely, if you take anything from this episode and you have not joined F1 Threads yet, which is weird if you listen to us and you're not on F1 Threads, but if for some reason you're not, if you're over there on the other app, on the Bird app, it's not even a Bird app anymore, actually, but if you are, come hang out with the F1 Threads. It is so much fun. I remember making fun of Casey, or teasing Casey, before I had joined Threads, about Threads, because of the community, and now I'm a part of it, and I love it, and it's great, and I just can't. It's everyone over there is so nice. It's good conversations about what's going on in the F1 world. Everybody over there, like, respectful and super, super nice, and it's genuinely, it's so much fun. So, yeah, thank you. I don't know if you have anything to add to, Case.
Yeah, I mean, I guess obviously I can say, because I think we joined Threads day one of Threads starting, so we've been there from the beginning, and just watching it grow, and then watching the European crowd come over, and watching the creation of F1 Threads. People say all the time that we're like a staple of the F1 Threads community over there, and I don't believe it. It just, because it just sounds awful. Like, it sounds wild to say, and I'm like, no, like, that's a lot. That's a big title.
Yeah.
But it literally means the world. When I posted yesterday that I was literally speechless, I was legit speechless at work, because I was like, I posted to someone else. I think I said, we obviously, like, that was a dream, like, to hit a milestone like that and followers, but, like, never. We've been dead honest. When we first started this 2 years ago, we were talking to our mom and dad that would listen to us. Now we have people that follow us from literally all over the world. That we talk, I guess you could say, virtually watch races with every single weekend, every single session. Like, there's a constant conversation going on over there. It's helping us get into other motorsport areas like IndyCar. Indy sport.
Clearly, we're very experienced.
IndyCar. Yeah, no, it's truly the best place on the internet right now. It's not toxic at all. And you even had people that are coming over from X saying, like, yeah, this place is 10 times better.
Yeah.
I mean, where else are you having red team admins in your good morning messages wishing you a good morning back? Like, where are you having that?
There's something about the Threads algorithm that does it right, in the sense of, like, when it creates your For You page, it makes a good For You page. So it's
and there's things like, people, like, I was like during the Olympics, because it was mostly the Olympics, like, my For You page, my entire For You page was just Olympics. With the minute F1 was coming back, or if there was something breaking news and you start, like, interacting with that crowd again, it switches. So it's always changing. But if you're within the F1 world all the time, that For You page, that's all you're going to see.
The fact that, I mean, like you said, when we started this 2 years ago, I mean, I was in my parents' basement, and literally those were the only people listening, were our mom and dad. Pretty much.
And they were upstairs listening.
Listening to me having a one-sided conversation, because obviously they couldn't hear Casey. But the fact now that there's 10,000 people, there's over 100 Spotify followers, like, it's absolutely insane. It's, again, never a milestone that I think we thought we would hit. And, like, I still remember the disbelief that I felt when we started getting a little bit more traction on Threads, and this F1 Threads community was really building. It was, Case, you would text me about, we have this many people following us. We have this many people following us, and just, like, we started talking about names that we now, like, know day in and day out, Casper, Hells, Frey, like, all
Sarah, there's so many people.
Sarah, all these people that it's just like, you're now, like, you're right. Like, it's like we're sitting on the couch watching them, watching the race with them, and it's so much fun. It's such a blast, and again, genuinely, like, we can't say thank you enough for it, and we're really hoping to use this and make better content for you guys and do more things and just, you know, keep going up from here. I mean, it's,
yeah,
you know,
I mean, we want to continue obviously growing. There's more milestones, more dreams that I don't think we thought could have ever happened, but maybe now could happen. So it's unreal. We had so many people like congratulating us yesterday. There were so many replies. I think I got to everyone's. I can't. The support is absolutely unreal. Yeah, we would not. Our show would be literally nowhere without Threads. I will say that we would still be talking to ourselves if we didn't have Threads.
Threads, yeah. Again, I can't say it enough. Threads is just such a good spot, and it really hit me the other night, Case, when you sent me that post about Daniel Ricciardo that you put out. You put that out at, I think I checked it at like 10:30, and I think it was like 45 minutes old, and you had like 60 something replies in it and everything, and I was like, holy shit! And then I'm going through it. And they're all great replies, you know, people like legitimately interacting with the conversation and everything. And it's like, this is great. Like, it's, you know, it's fantastic to see. And it's, again, if for some reason you listen to us and you're not on Threads and you have not joined the F1 Threads community,
join it. Do
it immediately. It's fantastic.
The best place on the internet.
But yeah, just a little personal page update news. So again, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you guys and everyone who listens and subscribes and follows us and does the whole shebang. Listens to some of our very, very long ranty episodes about races. But yeah,
and I'm so happy we hit the milestone yesterday while we were awake. I was literally terrified we were going to wake up to it.
I was convinced that we were going to miss it.
Because I wanted to get the video that I got when it officially changed over.
Yeah, when I went to bed that night and it was at,
we were like 25, I think.
Yeah, it was like 9. It was like 9:60 or something like that, like before I went to bed. And then it was like, I checked like right before I got in the bed and we were at like 9:75. And I was like, oh, I'm missing it. I was like, it's going. And that was like a half-hour span. And I was like, oh, I'm missing it. Where, you know, I was like, there's no way I'm seeing this. And then the first thing I did that morning was wake up and check it. And that's when I think we had like 9:89 or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, we're like literally like 10 away, you know.
We just kept sending each other the number back and forth.
It was like a countdown in our text messages. Like,
yeah.
But thank you so much.
Moving on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pints and Pit Stops.
Pints and Pit Stops. I am quizzing Casey this week. I can't wait. She keeps thinking that she's going to get some stuff wrong. I don't think she will, though.
Because I'm just like trying to think back to the race, and I'm like blanking, but I should be fine.
I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be good. I am on a wrong account for our leaderboard. So I can add your time in. All right. So if you're new here, Pints and Pit Stops is our trivia section where one of us asks each other, or if we have a guest on the show that day, a 5 questions of trivia that pretty much always about previous race that just happened. And the pit stop part of it is it's timed. You have to go as quick as possible. And then we record that time, blah, blah, blah. The pints section of it is I really enjoy beer. I like drinking beer and trying new beers. However, I am running a marathon in about 2 months. So I am going sober for these 2 months leading up to it. So right now, I just have water. So
I have lemonade in my very large Trey Turner Philadelphia Phillies cup.
There you go. That's very fitting. Very fitting. So I will pull up the clock for Casey. And as always, again, I will read you the first question. And then when the first question is done, I will start the timer. So,
okay.
Are you ready?
I think so. I don't know why I'm so not nervous for this one today.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure my finger's over it so I can actually tap it. What car was the McLaren livery meant to honor?
Oh my God. The MP4?
What was the gap to George Russell from Lando Norris?
Like 60 seconds.
What position did Sergio Perez finish in?
Oh.
Give me a number.
10? It's wrong.
What Ferrari went off the road going into turn 1?
Charles.
Who claimed Colapinto was dive bombing?
His own teammate, Alex Albon.
I will give you that. All right. So you did really well on that, actually. You did very well.
Okay.
So net gross time, 27.98.
Okay.
If every question you get right, we will take off a second. Every question that you get wrong, we will add on a second.
Oh no, yeah, not 2. We add on 1 second.
Yeah. All right. So first question. I lost my notes. Where did they go? There it is. What car was the McLaren livery meant to honor? You were correct. That was the McLaren MP4.
Oh my god, I would totally guess.
That livery was beautiful, by the way.
Oh, it was beautiful.
I believe I posted it on Threads. I probably also posted it on Twitter too. Lego, if you're listening for whatever reason, first of all, I love you. Please send me all the sets. And second of all, please make the partnership that with F1. That's the first set. Please make it, please. That livery is so gorgeous. Also, we didn't talk about that. That's news.
No, I just realized we didn't talk about that as
That's
you
news.
said it. And that's very Owen news.
That's great news. Quick interjection. Lego and F1 are officially partnering. So Lego has always done a couple F1 sets here and there. But it's kind of been, like I said, like random one-offs that they've done.
And I feel like it's mostly been McLaren that they've done more with.
It's mostly been McLaren. They've done it under their Speed Champions line, which is racing stuff. But they definitely have a partnership with McLaren because they have like the McLaren Formula E car. They have the McLaren rally car. They have the
we've seen Mark
livery.
and Hell's post their journeys building the bigger car.
Yeah. I did actually see the Formula E car like 2 weeks ago in Costco, and I was really tempted to buy it.
No, can you buy me the model cars for like the big pack of the model car?
The big pack. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I tagged you in the one day.
All right, so that's minus a second. You got that question right. What was the gap to George Russell from Lando Norris? You were right on the money. It was 60 seconds. That was given right at the end of the race. I think Alex Jason said it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 2 seconds.
Because he lapped up to Checo. I know I got Checo wrong.
You got Checo right, actually.
Oh.
Checo finished in 10th. So that is another second. You're killing it right now with the time. The one question that I thought you were going to get right, you got wrong. What Ferrari went off the road going into turn 1? And that wasn't it Carlos Sainz? Wasn't it Carlos?
No, I think it's Charles.
Oh, we have to look. We have to confirm. Singapore GP. I
have to read you Dad's text message from the beginning of the race when we get into the race.
Videos.
Recap. I'm pretty sure it was Charles.
I thought it was Carlos because...
Text Mark. Who ran off the road? What Ferrari ran off the road at the beginning of the race? Charles. Owen wasn't even prepared for Pints and Pit Stops, people.
He doesn't say. He starts.
What article are you reading?
Oh wait, maybe it was Leclerc. Hold on.
Told you. I know I'm right.
Yeah, you're right. All right. Hand up on that one. Hands up.
Take a second off. I got them all right then.
He's got them all right so far. Casey's killing it. And you went 5 for 5. Perfect. Pints and Pit Stops. Who claimed Franco Colapinto was dive bombing? It was his own teammate, Alex Albon.
And it was not a dive bomb.
It was not a dive bomb. He had a fantastic move. I loved it. I loved the onboard too of it. It was beautiful.
I saw someone post saying, "Oh, it could go for like McLaren and Red Bull." Someone was like, "Put that kid in the Red Bull and watch him go."
Please, he killed it. I just thought of a.
But yes, so I had got 5 seconds.
Yes. So today is September 23rd, 24th. It is 2024. And so your final time, you knocked 4 seconds off your time. So you ended up, your net time was a 23:98, which will be your new fastest time. So you have the new record right now for the fastest time. Because I have not beaten that time before. So
took that fastest lap from you, like Daniel Ricciardo took it from Lando.
Yeah, you did. I always forget how to do this too. All right, here we go. Now I'm getting it. I don't even know how to work my own.
You were adding me to the leaderboard.
I was adding you to the leaderboard, yes.
But yes.
Sorry, little pause break there.
That was Pints and Pit Stops for you.
That was Pints and Pit Stops. I'm adding 2 new things to our data board too. I'm going to add number of answers correct and then our net time. And I'm going to make it a formula because I'm an Excel geek. But that way we also know too, because I want to commemorate that you just got a perfect Pints and Pit Stops.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Pints and Pit Stops done. Now we will jump into our. Sorry, I feel like both of us got a little discombobulated from that.
We did.
Right there. Now we'll jump back into our Singapore recap. Couple teams in here that we'll talk about. We'll talk about our normal. Obviously, McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, stuff like that. The biggest kind of fighters and losers and winners from this race and whatnot. There's a couple teams that we can start off with and kind of breeze through. Alpine, Sauber, Haas, nothing. Haas, obviously, really I mentioned nothing. It earlier. We had the return to Kevin Magnussen. It was really kind of inconsequential, though. He didn't do anything, and I'm pulling up the results right now. Let's see. Kevin Magnussen finished 19th. He retired from early. He retired early from the race. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but Nico Hülkenberg had a good weekend.
Nico Hülkenberg finished 9th, getting 2 points for.
I mean, watching Charles be stuck behind Nico Hülkenberg and Fernando Alonso for the beginning of that race was so frustrating.
Yeah, very tough. But that's pretty much it for. What is it? Haas, like I said, kind of inconsequential. Alpine, another forgettable weekend. Pierre Gasly finished 17th. And Esteban Ocon finished 13th. It's Alpine. I mean, there's not really much else to say. Kick Sauber, Bottas 16th, Zhou Guanyu 14th or 15th. I'm sorry. Again, they're still sitting with a big old goose egg in constructors champs. That was it. I don't remember seeing anything kind of crazy with those teams. I don't know if you can remember anything, Case.
With who? Who did you say? Which team?
Any one of those teams. Haas, Sauber, Alpine, anything substantial?
No, I mean, the Saubers again finished last. I do really feel like they just have given up on this season, unfortunately. It really feels like that. I really also feel like, well, Aston Martin didn't have an awful weekend because Fernando Alonso did pretty well. Lance Stroll had did not score in the points.
Alonso finished 8th. Stroll finished 14th.
Yeah. And Alonso was a part of that at the very beginning. It was him, Hülkenberg, Charles Leclerc, and they were on top of each other for so long. And he came in, I think, to pit, and that's when the other two were fine. Like, thank God, and were able to get by. But yeah, I can't really say anything else about them. Alpine is Alpine. Ocon, I think, had a better weekend than Pierre did this weekend.
Yeah.
Because Pierre got booted from qualifying pretty early. But yeah, no, it's hard to say stuff about those bottom tier teams, unfortunately.
The one team that I will kind of had some stuff to talk about, obviously Williams. Alex Albon did, unfortunately, DNF from the race.
Yes.
His car was overheating, if I remember correctly. So safety reason, just get him out of the race. That was it. He only completed 15 laps too of this 62.
Yeah, he was pretty early.
Yeah. So And then the other Williams to talk about, obviously, Franco Colapinto. There's just a little bit to talk about with him. He got the Checo stamp of approval for
he did, and that's
racing.
Huge on a street track.
Yeah, I mean the fact that Checo was behind him, and he said, "This kid's very good." It's difficult to pass. Colapinto is very good. Is like paraphrase like what is essentially Checo said. But I've seen from now because he finished 11th. Colapinto,
yes,
right behind Checo actually. So the fact that he finished 11th, this is his second race, third race. Thank you.
He did Monza last week and then this week.
Yes. I mean he's killing it. He's doing a great job. I've seen increasing calls on F1 threads and other sources to get him in a seat. Next year, Franco Colapinto.
Oh yeah, I mean James even said before at the beginning of the weekend that he's also himself like went over and talked to the people at Sauber because I mean 3 races in and the kid it's easy to say the kid deserves a seat. He has his guts. I mean we talked about it very briefly that what Alex Albon thought was a dive bomb, but it wasn't a dive bomb, was an insane move to make.
Awesome movie. You have not watched the onboards of it, go watch it. It's beautiful.
So good. In Singapore, just absolutely like out of control. So good. Yeah. But yeah, it was just he's so much fun to watch. And he has such a fun personality that like it's easy to root for him as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw the video of him when he came out of like the drivers were leaving, like after they get weighed and stuff. If he could have fallen asleep standing up, that's how exhausted he looked.
He was dead.
Yeah, but yeah, no, he's just so good. And but it was a fact because like they went on the broadcast, they like showed the helicopter like over, or they showed the what's it called, the camera angles with Checo and Franco, because I think they all thought like Checo's just going to easily overtake him, and Franco did not make it easy.
Did not make it easy at all.
No. And that's when Checo's like, this kid is good. And I mean, Checo is great on street circuits. To get that seal of approval from Checo it's
a good sign.
Is amazing. Yeah, it's a very good sign. Yeah. I don't know.
That's pretty much it for Williams. I feel like we should go into the like sob story of the weekend. And that is obviously with V-Carb and Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, I also don't know how much I want to go into it because it's obviously still unknown. There's no official, like, yes, he's going to be replacing Coda.
Yeah.
Everything's pointing that way. I mean, even his interview on F1 TV, I always like type out like different quotes from them during the post-race show and put them on threads. And I was typing his and I had to stop because I literally was like, I was like, I think I'm going to choke up because it was so heartbreaking. Lawrence Ritter just asked him like, because there was his onboard and obviously it's Singapore, it's very tiring on them and stuff.
Taxing
like,
race for the drivers.
The videos of the Mercedes boys getting out of the car and George like stumbles over and then they didn't do their post-race interviews because Toto said they were both not feeling well. So Lawrence Meadow asked Daniel if that's why he sat in the car. Like, was he just taking a minute or what was he doing? And Daniel basically says he's like, the cockpit's just familiar. And he's just like, I just was taking it all in. And he just keeps going. And he was getting emotional. And then they cut back to Will Buxton and James Hinchcliffe at the desk. And they both like aren't saying a word. Will Buxton was like, that was so like hard to just watch him like try and do. But yeah, there's nothing yet. There was a statement from Laurent McKees, team principal of V-Carb, who really also made it seem like he doesn't really know what's happening.
Yeah.
But yes, there is the very strong rumor that Daniel Ricciardo, that was his last race, unfortunately, and will be no longer an F1 driver.
Yeah.
He has not had that in his Instagram bio for like 2 years now, people. So stop making that a thing.
I saw that. I saw the first one that was like, oh, Daniel took out, racing driver or F1 driver from his Instagram bio. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, there it is. Like that's the confirmation itself. And then I saw your post where you were like, he hasn't had it in there for like.
No, he removed it after McLaren. He removed it after the season with McLaren, and it hasn't been back. If you go to his Twitter, it says F1 Australian driver, like Australian F1 driver, but hasn't been on his Instagram profile in years. But yeah, I mean, I do think Ferrari posted like this whole long thing because there's people like saying that like all the media is even, I think, building up to it, and people are like, what if it's not true? Like, what if he is staying? And everyone's saying, I mean, Ted Kravitz on Sky Sports also was like, thank you for this, thank you for your smile, thank you for your laugh, like did this whole goodbye speech. And it's all coming before the official announcement is.
Yeah.
So is it just like one of those like the worst kept secrets at this moment, and it's the worst kept secret we've ever had in F1?
Yeah.
Or is everyone jumping the gun when Red Bull hasn't even made a decision yet? But I do think Red Bull has made their decision.
Yeah, it's definitely all the signs are pointing towards it. And I am really comparing it to when Claude Giroux was on the Flyers and he played his last game before he was traded, because the trade announcement wasn't official, but you saw all the players on the ice, everybody in the fans, everyone in the stands that was there at that game, giving him a standing ovation. All the players are coming over and hugging him, all this stuff. And it's like really, really pointing to that kind of mentality. Yeah. Again, it's probably, I would say it's like 95% confirmed going to happen. We are just, I mean, it's weird that we've waited so long for the initial announcement, especially with all of the media coverage that we've had throughout the weekend and everything. I mean, the fact that it's Tuesday night and the race was Sunday morning, and we haven't had an official announcement yet is a little wild. And I feel like the longer this goes on, the more people will start to kind of be like, okay, maybe this isn't happening. But for, what we're dealing with is, the facts of Daniel was getting asked about it after the race. And I mean, that post-race interview was tough to watch. It was very tough. I posted a thing on Twitter and I said, if this is the end, it's a huge thank you to Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, you love him or you hate him. He was a big personality when Drive to Survive first aired. And I mean, he was the driver that people loved,
Well, and that's what I've seen people say. And I also agree. When you watch season, he is your quote unquote, like gateway drug into Formula One, because he is the star of that season one of Drive to Survive. Yeah. He's the one you're rooting for. Like he meant so much to that sport. Like and he's had an everlasting, like, whatever I'm trying to say, like, impact on the sport. I also don't think he'll be gone. He has too big of a personality that Red Bull's not going to just kick him to the curb and never bring him back. I can see him doing like the show runs like David Coulthard does now. I can see ESPN did one of those broadcasts with him. They will for sure, I think, try again to do something, or F1 TV be stupid to not grab him. Yeah. So he's not going anywhere, but I do think VCARB strategy or failure of strategies this season is flying under the radar, and because they are flawed and they suck.
They're brutal.
They suck.
Brutal. Which, they're definitely, the strategy this weekend was not good for them. They had a shitty weekend, and this is only just, and putting an emphasis on it, but it's, it's insane to see him leave, and it kind of hits on two aspects, because you have the Drive to Survive fans, the newer fans that are like, I'm going to miss him because he's such a big personality. And I was, like you said, I was rooting for him season one of Drive to Survive, like all that stuff. But then you also have, a little bit of the older crowd who's been watching F1 for, years and everything before Drive to Survive came out. I mean, like, he's an 8-time Grand Prix winner. He is this very marketable and lovable personality of the sport. So it's seeing him leave in that aspect of like, this is a good driver leaving the sport is like, that's a shame to see, So definitely put the damper on it. But like I said, I mean, this was Sunday morning was a race, and it's Tuesday night now, and we have not gotten anything official yet. So
no,
there's a chance that he's okay, but from what we saw on Sunday, no.
No, I mean, and that's when you had like reporters saying he was the last to leave in the paddock. Everyone was hugging him goodbye.
You got that standing ovation as he's walking back into V-Carb's hospitality.
The one photographer posted saying that like he was saying goodbye to everyone, and I think as Lando came over to hug him, the Drive to Survive cameras were right there. Like, I do agree with people saying he deserved a proper send-off. Like, he deserved going into the weekend knowing it was his last one so he could savor it the entire time. I do agree with that, and it does suck that the next race is maybe his second favorite race after his home race. Like, it is his second home race.
He loves COTA.
He loves COTA, but yeah, it does suck. He's not going to go far. I know he's not. He's going to be there all the time. So,
no, I mean, you're 100% right, and it would be a stupid business decision for any person covering F1, F1 themselves to not utilize him. So he's not going to. It's not like he's going to disconnect from the sport and then we're never going to see or hear from him again. Like, he will still be there. He is a driver. He will still be, the paddock and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he will have that access for the rest of his life. It's just, we're not going to see him. We might not see him in a car in COTA and for the rest of the season and beyond.
Yeah. And then I've seen people being like, well, what's the point of him putting Liam in the car? And people are like, to give him the experience. Like, what's V-Carb losing this year? Basically nothing. So put him in the car. And I think there is also in his contract that Liam Lawson has to be in the car a certain amount of times or they have to let him go. And that someone is scooping Liam Lawson up real quick if he gets let go by Red Bull.
100%.
So like, they have to, V-Carb is meant for the junior, like the talent coming up.
Yeah. It's a farm system. That's what it is.
It's the farm system. Like, that's what it's meant for. But yeah, I mean, like I said, he's not going far, but was a sad part of the weekend. To the top part of the teams, I was looking for the tweet to go into Mercedes because it was like, okay weekend for Mercedes and then awful weekend for Mercedes. So I've never seen Lewis happier after a qualifying session with that car. He was beaming. He said it's the most comfortable he's ever felt with the car. Like, ever.
Thrilled. He was so happy.
He was beaming. He was absolutely thrilled. And then comes Sunday, and they had an event in, I think, Malaysia today for Petronas, like 50 years, to celebrate the 50 years.
Yeah.
So they were talking, and the interviewer flat out asked them, like, what about that team strategy. So they did a split team strategy because, as you saw, Lewis started on the softs. Everyone else started on the mediums. So Lewis, this is a quote from Lewis in the video. It says, "I was perplexed by it. It didn't make sense to me, so I battled as hard as I could to fight to go on the medium tire. But the team continued to suggest that I start on the soft, and when they took the tire blankets off, everyone was on the mediums." George chimes in going, "When I saw that, I was thinking Lewis won't be happy." And Lewis chimes back in saying, "So angry, and already from that moment, I'm frustrated." And then you literally have Toto at the end saying, "We read the race wrong."
Yeah. I mean,
but they got it right for George.
The admission of guilt there from Toto is huge. Like that. Yeah, we same thing. Like, hands up. We screwed up. Like,
So that they just. I mean, George at the end. That's the thing. Like, they got it so wrong for Lewis, but they got it so right for
George. Yeah.
Like, George at the end. Were his tires a little bit newer than
George's
Charles?
George's last stint was lap 27 to 62.
They were older.
Charles was 36 to 62. Both on the set of hards.
Yes, they were older because at the very end you thought Charles was going to catch him, but Charles Ebert came over the radio and was like, "They have good traction still." Like, George was not slipping and sliding like those hard tires were. The DEG was working its way up. But yeah, like I said, good place for George. He finished 4th. Lewis finished 6th when they could have finished what?
I mean, Lewis started 3rd.
Yeah, true. They could have been 3-4.
Podium finish for Lewis. Like, it's tough, very tough weekend
when it was a monumental weekend for him. Like, there was a lot of milestones for him this weekend with F1 and stuff. But yeah, so that was Mercedes was kind of a yay, and what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
If you were a Lewis fan, you were pissed, and there were a lot of Lewis fans pissed. I saw a lot of people being like, "I can't wait for next year. Forza Ferrari, Forza Falcon." Like, they're so ready. Ferrari, also a very frustrating weekend. Kind of the opposite. Friday was so good for them; they looked great.
Yep.
Then comes qualifying, when it all just goes to shit.
Yeah.
And
I had missed Q3, and I was amazed when I pulled up the results and I saw Carlos and Charles P9, P10. Yeah.
Well, yeah, so Carlos gets P10 because he crashes out.
Right.
In qualifying Q3, it causes a red flag, everyone comes in, and then it becomes a one-lap quali, which is like the most intense qualifying session you can have.
Intense situation.
So yeah, then you have that, and then you have Charles go for his fastest lap, and he's looking great. And then you find out that he goes over, so he gets his track time deleted, and he goes down to 9th. And then after, like, in both of their post-race interview or both quali interviews, they're saying like the tire temp was not correct. Like, there was something wrong with it. They both were very dead serious. They were like, Carlos and Charles were agreeing that there was an issue with the tire temp. Then you have Fred being like, no, that was not the issue.
Right.
Fast forward to Sunday, race day. They pit Carlos first, and he had a monster of a comeback.
Carlos pitted, his first stint on mediums went from lap 1 to lap 13.
Yeah, he pitted really early.
And then he went 13 to 62 on hards.
Because when they pitted him early, everyone was still pretty close together. So he fell very far back and worked his way back up into the points extremely quick.
Yeah.
So it was amazing to see from him. And then they have Charles pit on lap 31 and go into the hards. And then you find out later on that he was keeping the exact same pace as Lando towards the end of the race. And it's like, what could have been? Yeah. It's like the what ifs. If they had a decent qualifying on Saturday, they easily probably could have been on. It could have been a double Ferrari podium on Sunday.
This race was 100% lost for them in qualifying.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And it does hurt their fight in. I mean, Charles even said it. He's like, we're looking at the constructors with a sniper at this point. Like, that's how far away we are, but we're right there. Charles also was very quick to backtrack on his comments from Saturday qualifying.
Yes, he
and
was.
Placed the blame on himself. And that also had a lot of backlash on Twitter and social media as well. So, again, a very, like, Mercedes and stuff was, like, totally opposite. Like, Saturday was like, yay! Sunday was awful. Ferrari was Saturday awful. Sunday was more like what could have actually happened if we got it together.
Right. Could have been a much better performance if not for Saturday.
Yeah.
But
yes.
Well, jumping over to Red Bull now. We finally got Max back on the podium. We had Max's podcast was back. Which
it was a good episode too.
That was really funny for them to watch because you see the clip of Lando coming in, sitting down on the chairs, and it's Lando, Max, and Oscar watching the TV, and there's a shot of Lando locking up, going towards the wall, and everybody is like, oh, and they're all watching it together. Max 100% is thinking there, oh my God, I was this close to win, I was that close to winning the race. But I mean, overall, a decent weekend for Red Bull. Like we said, Checo finished
for Max.
10th. Yeah, Checo finishes 10th, up 3 spots from where he qualified. He was knocked out in Q2, which was like wild to see, but
it was very wild to see.
So he gets 1 point. Again, Checo, like, he's got to perform better than that, or else the rumors are not going to stop. But
no, and now especially because like they have fully admitted that they got it wrong last year, and they should have believed him when the car was like first struggling. You would think now like Max is struggling, so they should be a little more similar in performance, but they're not.
Right, they're not. Max finishes second. That is, he gains nor loses any positions. That's where he qualified. And the thing that I feel like the thing to highlight here is his gap to Lando, but that's more of like a McLaren thing.
What's a good segue?
But yeah, so the important thing to note, and this was posted by F1. I'm gonna try to
his
find
insane stat
as quickly as possible. There was
the consistency or no?
His insane stat, but there was also. I'm gonna see if I can find it real fast because
I posted the consistency one. If that's what you're talking about,
it was that, but this was also about Daniel Ricciardo stealing the fastest lap of the race from Lando. There was a stat that they posted, and it's pretty much. He has to get second from every race from here on out to lock in the championship. That's because he's still 52 points ahead of. It went from like 53 to 52 points ahead of Lando. Yeah, here it is. So Daniel Ricciardo's fastest lap means Max Verstappen can finish second to Lando Norris in all remaining Grand Prix and sprints, regardless of fastest lap bonus points, and still win the Drivers' Champs. So if every race here on out finishes Lando, Max, P1, P2, Max still wins the Drivers' Championship. But obviously that's not going to happen. I don't see Lando winning the next 7 races.
No, because Oscar... Yeah. Oscar's right there. Like, that's not going to happen.
That's really it for Red Bull. I mean, you know what? This is a wild sentence to say, but getting Max back on the podium, that's a good weekend for them in recent times. You know?
Yeah. I do want to say so F1 also posted today a graphic for Max's final stint from he pitted on lap 31 and then obviously until lap 62. He was 136 almost every single lap. There's 6 times he won 137. Yeah. Something. Like, absolutely wild. Yeah.
Just locked into the zone, just going pure feel of just, I know what I'm doing and I can feel it in my body the way that I'm driving this car, you know?
But yeah, kind of good segue into McLaren. So the gap from Lando to Max was wild. Did you see the TikTok of the gap in person?
No.
Oh, I'll have to send it to you.
Please do.
Lando literally even saw it and commented and said, I know this is me, but that's wild.
Yeah.
Because it's so long.
It was crazy to see. I posted something. I said, I'm so amazed by the fact that last year we were watching Max do this to drivers. And
no, but the gap was even more dominant than Max was last year.
Yeah. It was,
at one point, it was 29 seconds.
It was insane. I thought he was going to win by a full 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, listen, I can't ask for a better weekend when it comes to McLaren. You got a Lando win, which is huge, you know, and you've got an Oscar P3, you know, and it's insane, you know, and that's when he qualified P5, you know, so he gains 2 places, ends on the podium. It's a double McLaren podium, which is huge for the points in the Constructors' Championship. You know, I feel insane for saying this, but the start of the season, I was like, all right, our biggest goal is to just break away from Mercedes in terms of, you know, Constructors' Championships and everything. And now it's, hey, we're breaking away from Red Bull for the lead of the Constructors' Championship. But overall, fantastic race. I mean, you got Oscar doing his first stint, lap 1 to 38 on mediums. That's, you know, 37 laps of driving on mediums, which is nuts. And then 38 to 62 on the hards. And you had Lando going 1 to 30 on mediums, 30 to 62 on hards.
There was like a good 20 seconds between him to Max. Like, that's what makes me think if the race was a few laps longer, that we know for a fact now that McLaren legit loves the clean air. So if I mean, he was in clean air. So I think if it was a few more laps, if it was a few laps longer, Oscar was catching Max.
Yeah. But overall, like I said, I have no complaints.
The beginning of the race, when they come over to Lando on the radio, they're like, can you give us like a 5-second gap to Max? And he does it in like 2 laps, and it's like 12 seconds.
Yeah, it's like 10 to 12 seconds. Something about this McLaren right now is clicking.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have no complaints this weekend about McLaren. They really put themselves in a position, you know, where a pit stop strategy didn't really matter for Lando, you know, because he was in that Max Verstappen position of I'm 28 seconds ahead, and that was the average time lost here in Singapore. Is 28
yeah, he was able to pit and come out in first still.
Yeah, so like that's huge. And then like they obviously pulled off the pit strategy well with Oscar because he was able to undercut and I believe he undercut and come out in third place. You know, it's.
I mean, they were even because that was when Lando finally pit. That was after his 2 moments where he almost bended into the wall, and there would have been a red flag, and that would have been awful.
I would have lost it.
They were even saying on the radio that they probably could have afforded to change the front wing and his tires in that one pit stop, and he would have come out still in first.
Which is wild to think about when we're talking about McLaren. But
when last year, I always go back to the beginning of last season when you went on your rant about the steering wheel. Like, that's how far they've come in a year. It's insane.
What a crazy rant.
What a crazy rant. That's an all-time rant.
That is an all-time rant.
But yeah, it wasn't the most exciting race after the few very exciting ones we've had recently.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? I mean, we made it through Singapore without a safety car, which is a feat in itself. That's also
wild. I mean, Singapore has 100% safety car, you know, record so far. So the fact that we made it through without it, or even a yellow flag, is wild. But
yeah. George Russell, someone posted because when George crashed, or didn't George George ended up in the barrier during a practice session. Someone's
he did.
I know those walls in Singapore. I hate to see George coming.
Oh, yeah. They despise that site.
Wait, also the stat that said that's the first time Esteban Ocon has ever finished Singapore. In 2019, he DNF'd.
That's funny.
2020, there was no race. 2021 he wasn't on the grid because he was the Mercedes reserve driver, and then 2022 he DNF'd, and 2023 he DNF'd.
Classic.
So someone said, I missed his interview, but someone said that was in his interview. Literally, it was his goal was just to finish the race this weekend.
Just to survive. Yeah,
just to survive Singapore.
That's a good goal to have. But we will now, because we have now another month friggin' break between races, we'll jump into our quick drivers and constructors standings update, brought to you by our amazing friends over at BoxBox Club. BoxBox is an amazing app that keeps you up to date on everything in the F1 world. You can view news, current World and Drivers Championship standings, upcoming race details, and much more. BoxBox brings together all this information into a beautifully designed layout that you can customize to your favorite teams and drivers. All this information that you just heard, listening to us talk about tire stints and where did they finish, how many points did they get, all this stuff, straight from BoxBox. And literally, like, all on your phone. Just beautiful, like, perfect little layout. It's a wealth of information. So followers of our show can now get 30% off on the BoxBox Ultra plan on iOS only right now. Sorry, Android users. This plan unlocks features like customizable Apple Watch faces and complications, and most importantly, the removal of all ads. So please click the link in the description below and on our link tree and use our code Underground30. The leading U is the only vowel when purchasing the Ultra plan to get your 30% off and to help support our show. Again, we want to thank BoxBox for partnering with us. It really is a dream come true. I am so happy about it. I can't shut up. So driver and constructor.
Wait, sorry. First, I just sent you the TikTok of the gap so you can see it after.
All right, I'll watch it. I'll watch it once we do the standings updates. So for drivers championships, I'll only do the top 10. Constructors, I'll do all the teams. So first place with 331 points is still Max Verstappen. Behind him, Lando Norris with 279 points in second place. In third place, this is where the battle gets a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
We have Charles Leclerc with 245 points. And right behind him, we have Oscar Piastri with 237 points. So that's a matter of 8 points splitting Oscar and Charles right now.
That's that's the battle right now.
Yeah. Little father-son duo battle going on right there. In fifth place,
also Oscar, the king of late breaking. The king of and the like inside of turns. He's so good.
Yeah, so good at it. In fifth place, we have Carlos Sainz with 190 points. Sixth place, Sir Lewis Hamilton, 174 points. 7th place, George Russell, 155. 8th place, Sergio Perez, 144. 9th place, Fernando Alonso, big jump to 62 points. Hasn't even broken 100 yet. And then in 10th place, we have Nico Hülkenberg with 24 points, who is currently tied with Lance Stroll for 10th place right now.
That's wild.
Yeah.
The F1 today posted the leaderboard from this time last year compared to this year. It's so good. You have to look at it.
I think I saw that in passing earlier today. Like I scrolled past it on Threads. I got to go back and look at it. Jumping over to our teams, though, for our constructor champs, McLaren building their lead in first place.
Mm-hmm.
Now the gap is 516 points to 475 points with Red Bull right behind them. So 26 points right there. No, I'm sorry, 36 points right there, which is huge. Yeah. So it's insane. It's now past 2 races that Red Bull would need to catch up. In third place, kind of catching up to Red Bull, but this weekend,
saying, they could still catch Red Bull.
Yeah, is Ferrari with 441 points. 4th place is Mercedes, 329. 5th place, Aston Martin. This is like the collapse right here.
Yeah.
5th place, Aston Martin with 86 points. 6th place, VCarb with 34. 7th, Haas, 31. 8th place is Williams with 16 points. 9th place is Alpine with 13. Still kicking at the bottom, like we said for the past couple weeks.
Someone rescue them.
A big old goose egg. So that is your drivers and constructors championship standings update. Again, brought to you by BoxOx. Use the code in our link below to go purchase the Ultra Plan. It is 100% worth it. I will never shut up about it, so I'm going to stop right there.
So you don't shut up about it this time?
Yeah. This episode will be stupid long. But going on to our favorite segment of all time. I do love this segment. It's so good.
Oh, it's my favorite segment ever.
F1 Threads mailbag. Again, we've talked about it a little bit before. If you guys don't follow us on Threads, Casey posts a thread every week when we go to record, asking if you guys have any questions. We're happy to answer them. We want to learn. We know you guys want to learn. It's a great way to interact with the community too. I love it.
Yeah.
So, Casey, kick us off.
Okay, so we have a decent amount today, so we'll make our answers short.
Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars is coming on soon. I want to watch, so we'll make it short. So first off, from this is a new submission. We've never had him before. His name is Nikki. He said, "What upgrades to the car have been in your opinion have been in your opinion for the better for cars over the years of the sport, and which has, in your opinion, been more of a downgrade, and why?" So I think right off the bat, I can say the illegal, quote unquote, front wing and rear wing for McLaren is obviously something that's working very, very, very well for them. And I can think that we will start to see, I think that rear wing will be back for Vegas for McLaren. So I think by the time Vegas comes around, we're going to see other teams have something very similar.
To respond to it, yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have it. Trying to think of what else. What other upgrades? I think you could say, I don't know if it's like supposed to be specific, but I can also see like development side. Obviously, the Halo is very, very important. That's been introduced for safety reasons. I don't know if I can think of anything specifically that's been more of a downgrade.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I will say for an upgrade for the cars, I'm going to take your route as well. I thought you were going to say this. DRS. That's a huge tool when you think of it in terms of a safety sense. You know, like it's used as an overtaking tool, but it's used to make overtaking easier so there's less accidents and then drivers don't get hurt. So I think that's a huge upgrade. In terms of a negative, I don't really know.
I mean, I could say like whatever upgrades Ferrari brought earlier this season obviously didn't work, and that was a very negative thing.
I don't know any like big stroke upgrades that have been downgrades. Maybe the side parts from the
the zero side pod things. That obviously didn't work.
That did not work out for them. But yeah.
Moving on. This one I think I'll be able to answer. So this is from Foreman. She wanted to ask about why. Hold on.
You got it.
Can we talk about how Carlos Sainz has been only able to like defend and maintain his positions? I don't know if she means this past race because he was able to gain so many positions. I also don't know if it's already setting in that he's getting less and less information because he's no longer going to be the team at the end of the year. So like, What are they not telling him? But I don't think he's not been awful, Carlos. Like him and Charles have been pretty good the past few races. I would think very similar.
Yeah, I definitely. It's funny though because I like haven't really thought about that, but this question is kind of like making me realize now. Like we haven't really seen anything flashy from Carlos recently.
No. Now that you say that, we also haven't either. He's not like obviously you have Charles' amazing win in Monza, and then you have pole position in Baku. Like we've definitely, I feel like, seen more with Charles than we have with Carlos. Maybe that's what she means, but I don't know. I can't point to the reason as why.
I would say if there's anything, I do agree with your reasoning of. It's kind of getting to the point of the year now where he probably is being secluded from some conversations. You know, we have 6 races left. You know, that's not a lot. And you're definitely, you know, you're well into the latter half of the year and attention might be shifting to next year, you know, and with that comes, the realization of, okay, Carlos isn't going to be here next year. So we can't openly talk about car development with him. You know, if Charles is having an issue with the car in a current race, you know, that isn't really something that could be like majorly solved. They can tell Charles like, hey, it'll be done. It'll be fixed, you know, next year. But, you know,
they can't say that
to Carlos because then Carlos is going to be like, oh, I know exactly how you guys are going to fix that. Let me just bring that to Williams. So, yeah, I mean, I think at this point for Carlos, it might be just a mindset of just defend and maintain. You know, I'll take those words. You know,
no, and I think Ferrari, is going to put him in the best spot to get the best points they can in order for that constructors fight. Like in that aspect.
Yeah.
Next question from Devin. We've actually had a lot of different like new people today ask questions.
Yeah, this is a lot of new names.
What is your favorite track and why? Okay.
That's an easy one for me.
What's your favorite track?
Miami.
Okay, I was also going to say Miami, but only because we've been there.
Well, I'll keep that for the rest of my life. I do genuinely enjoy driving that track on like F123 and everything. Like it is a fun track for me to drive. That last chicane going right into that long straight that leads to turn 18 is brutal, but it's a really fun track to drive. But yes, just because it's the first race that we've been to, hopefully the first of many that we've been to, you know, that track is now always going to hold a special place in my heart.
I was also thinking like if I had to choose one, if you said Miami, I do enjoy Spa. I think the elevation changes,
Spa's great.
Long straights. Like it was a video with Charles and it was like he had a superlatives for each track and he put Spa as his favorite like straight. And he's like, it's not even a textbook straight because there is like subtle turns, but you can still pick up so much speed. But then there's turns and stuff, so I think it's a good mix. But yeah, Miami's always going to be good for us. I do think we should save the IndyCar one for next week.
Okay, I like that.
I think I need more time to soak it in. We're going to need something to talk about next week.
Do you want like literally like a one word, like one sentence answer?
Yeah, go ahead. You can give one.
It's essentially if IndyCar teams go under, and let's say an IndyCar team is worth $5 million, right? And they go under, they can auction off their assets, their physical assets, cars, stuff like that.
Okay.
To recoup those costs. A charter is, hey, we can sell our right to drive like, let's say Apple and Amazon are IndyCar teams, right? Or Apple's an IndyCar team. They go under, right? Apple can then be like, hey, Amazon, you want an IndyCar team? Like, we can sell this right to drive in league with a, difference in a couple races here and there and whatnot to Amazon to recoup some of the costs that we lost because we went under. That's
okay. So basically, like, say Haas in F1 started to go under, they could be like, Andretti, do you want to buy some of our like? And they could. Okay, that makes sense.
So Haas, the company, can recoup some of the losses, the monetary losses that they're experiencing from the F1 team going under.
Okay,
so
that makes
sense.
It
won't stop the team from going under, but it's just a way for the business just to be like, we're not going to get financially murdered.
They basically just stay afloat, stay alive. Yeah. Barely, but stay alive. This next one was from Chris. We kind of answered it for him, but he just said, how are we feeling about the Lando win and the Danny Rick news? We did kind of answer that one back up. Yeah. Pretty in-depth. Owen obviously is very happy about the Lando win.
Right. Number 3, baby.
Yeah. I posted, I said, from Lando no wins to Lando 3 wins. I was very proud of that caption. Next one is from Sabrina. This is more on Danny Ricciardo, and what do we think how V-Carb and Red Bull are handling the situation?
I
think kind of poorly, I want to say.
Poorly now, I will say. In the moment, if you ask me Sunday morning, I would say, okay. If you're asking me now, I would say pretty poorly because it's been so long since the race and all the hubbub about it, and we still haven't no official word.
No, and I feel like they haven't done anything to like shut up rumors.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, so, that's even more the point. Yeah. Like
I would say very poorly. We didn't even talk about this, so I'm happy this was a question from Sabrina. Second one. I was listening to Max's interviews. Do you think he can lose the passion for the sport if the FIA continues to be so strict?
This is such a great question.
And we didn't even talk about this.
We didn't even talk about it at all. A hard yes. I'm fully convinced that if the FIA continues to silence Max in a way, he's going to lose disinterest in it. He's already said, if you start adding more races to the calendar and everything, like my retirement will come a little bit sooner, stuff like that. But listen, it's not everybody's cup of tea, the way that maybe people talk and whatnot, but sports are a very emotional thing, especially when it's a sport that you're at the top level at and you've committed your entire life to. And sometimes saying fuck and saying shit and everything is the only way that you feel that you can express those opinions. Now, could Max in the moment maybe have been a little bit like, oh, whoops, like, sorry guys, didn't mean to say that, my emotions got the better of me. Sure, I will absolutely agree to that. But for the FIA to come out and say, Max, you're in trouble now, you're going to do community service because you said fuck, is like, it's a little bad. I mean, you just had Jason Kelsey the other night on Monday Night Football say fuck on live TV, and he's not getting public service. It's a slip up. People get emotional. It is what it is. Again, I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea. I understand that it might rub some people the wrong way. To each their own. That's fine. But for the FIA to come in and be like, you can't do that, and you're going to get a punishment for it, I think is a little bit overkill.
Yeah, and then we've seen them do it before. I mean, they go after Lewis all the time for jewelry and stuff. There's underwear gate with Sebastian Vettel, and he showed up wearing boxers over his race suit. Like, they are on their high horse, the FIA. I mean, when you have every single driver supporting Max, though, like, there's rumors that they were going to be meeting and then apparently, like, doing, like, a joint statement or something about the FIA and how uncalled for it is. Like, Charles literally had a good quote. He's like, I think there's more important things that need to be worried about. Words.
Oh, 100%.
Like, and that's when Lewis was like, okay, like that's what people were like. I'm pretty sure there's more scary things to like if they're so like upset or if they're gonna upset like the younger crowd, like younger generation kids watching it. I think there's more scarier things with watching a car going at 200 miles an hour with the potential to crash, and there is hearing "fuck" come over the radio.
And I mean, even in today's world too, we have so many ways that you can bleep that out. You can remove it.
Well, and I get because he didn't say it over the radio. He said it in the press conference, like the pre-race press conference. But like the radio, they've never slipped up. Like we don't hear the radios live for a reason. Yeah, because they're censoring them. Yeah. But yeah, I do think it could. I mean, Max always seems like he may be 1 foot out the door already. with them and stuff. So yeah, it's just I can see it hindering, but I also could maybe see like the way all the drivers seem to be coming together in support of Max.
Yeah, that's true.
It's gonna be. I think it'll be interesting to see if we get like a joint statement from them or whatever. I mean, every single one of them was hinting at something after. Charles was in a post-race interview like, oh, well, they were like, don't say that because you might get fined. He goes, yeah, I might do community service with Max. And then Oscar was like, oh, no, I said funked. Like,
yeah, you had Oscar in the cool-down room too, saying like, without swearing, without using swear words, how did you feel about that close miss to Lando? Like, it's just the fact that you have all the drivers rallying around Max and being vocal about like, this is really stupid for you guys to nitpick on is not a good sign for the FIA.
No, not at all. And when there are more things they should be concerned about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then last question. This is a fun one. This is from Jessie. She asked, how are you going to celebrate hitting 10K? Maybe I'll enjoy a glass of wine later this week. I'll treat myself to a nice coffee.
Yeah, it still doesn't feel real to me. So
no,
I don't know.
Don't think it's settled in. So, but it's getting there. I mean, we have the balloons up today.
We got the balloons.
My hand go. Yeah. So that's one way. That's how we're gonna celebrate for now.
Our mismatched balloons.
Yeah. Don't say it because I was like, it's not gonna match. Your mom's like, are they gonna look okay?
It's balloons. Who cares?
I did.
Oh,
I cared.
God. They're balloons.
There are balloons.
It's
all
fine.
Right.
But
do you have anything else, Dad?
I have nothing.
Nothing. Well, thank you so much for joining us for episode 78 of the F1 Underground podcast. We will be back next week. We'll go into a little bit more of the IndyCar charter conversation, F1 Thirds mailbag. We'll think of something else to talk about since it's a break. But good thing is, factories aren't closed. It's not like a summer break where there's literally no news. It's a summer break. It's a fall break where everything's still open. So we should get stuff. There should still be things moving around, I think. But yeah, we'll figure out something else to talk about. As always, please give us a follow over on Instagram at Threads at Underground F1 and over on Twitter at join F1 Threads at Underground_F1. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're also over on YouTube. Someone asked today where they could listen to the podcast, the new one that actually sent one of the questions. So yes, everything's in our link tree. But yes, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you all next week. And yeah, that's it. I don't know
I don't know if I can legally say this, but that's all, folks.
That's all she wrote. Goodbye.